Let me tell you about my horrible date last night. And I know you're going to be like, oh my God, why would you even go? Or you should have left here. Maybe don't date. I know. I did it for the plot. And oh my God, is there a plot? Let's start off in the beginning. He slid in the DMs and he was very bold. Like, it wasn't the, hi, how are you? Oh, you look so beautiful. Like, he was like, nope, you need to text me right now. Eventually I broke down and I did. And then we set up a date. So I went on a date last night. First thing, he showed up 2 hours early. That's him outside of my bedroom window in his truck at 2 o'clock. Our date was for 4. When he told me he was leaving his house, I was like, why are you leaving this early? Take your time. Like, I'm not ready yet. I had to like jump and get in the shower, quickly do my hair. He like sat on my bed while I was doing my makeup because he was here. He was like literally outside my apartment. I didn't want to have him keep waiting. Red flag. Flag on the play. Why are you here already? And then he almost insulted me by like how long I was taking to get ready. We get going eventually and I decided to take him to our local brewery because he wanted to get a couple drinks and some food. Perfect place, right? We finally get to the brewery around like 4 o'clock, which was like kind of like the time we were supposed to be there. So I wasn't like upset by this time. I didn't feel like, oh my God, we're going out so early. I felt like he was almost irritated. Like he wanted to like get going and get a drink in him. That's how it felt. Conversation is fine. We ended up actually sharing our food, which I love to do. So he got like chicken tenders. I got a cheeseburger. I'm like cutting my cheeseburger in half, handing him half. He's giving me some chicken strips. Like, it was cute. It was fine. And the conversation was flowing. We're both into fitness. So he was in the military. He got into working out. And we both have that in common where like we're kind of competitive in that way. And we like to be into fitness. That's when it went downhill quickly. I don't want to like say, but like he's into some substances that I do not agree with. That's all. I was shocked, number one, that he was divulging this much information on a first date. But I was shocked. I was like, oh, and he's just talking and I know he could see it on my face that I was like, oh no. And he was like, what? Like, what's your problem? I'm like, well, you know, I've been around people that have been on that. I've seen them abuse it. I've seen them not abuse it. It's very taboo. It doesn't have the best reputation. Like, I was trying to go about it like diplomatically, okay? I was trying to just be like, not too opinionated, but I was trying to let him know like what he's talking about was making me uncomfortable. Sometimes it's useful, sometimes it's abused, right? And I think everyone can agree with me. So I was just a little hesitant in like my words, and I think he took that as me not liking him. I don't know. Not for it, but I'm not sitting here saying like, oh, you're on that, I'm out of here. I just was like, it's a discussion we would have if we were together. It's something we would talk about later. Like, I'm trying to push it off to not talk about it. I go to the bathroom to take a breather. I've gathered myself after I've kind of calmed down. And again, he's being super defensive. I'm talking, he goes to ask me a question and I can't even finish my sentence. He's interrupting me. He's defending himself. And at this point, I had to say, you need to calm down. Like, can you please calm down? Because he was getting so worked up. And he's like, oh, I'm calm. I'm calm. He's getting loud. He's getting like all jittery and like aggressive about it. And I grab my phone and I start texting my friend, 911. And that girl is a real one. She is like, I am this far away. He was getting so aggressive. It was just, I've never felt that way, where I've just wanted to crawl out of my own skin, okay? And I've been in awkward situations. This was not awkward. This is like verging on the like abusive side of it, where he's like yelling at me at a restaurant, okay? I was embarrassed. This is the crazy part too. You're the one that said you wouldn't date anybody that was on that. Never did I say that though. You're taking words I've never said and putting them in your head. Why would I want to be with somebody like that? Why would I want to date somebody like that, where I literally did not say that and you're putting words in my mouth to cause a fight? I said, that's your own insecurity. I never said that. And I'm sorry if you got that impression, but I was just saying it's something we would need to talk about because I don't really like it. That's all I had said was, I don't really like it. He then said, okay, well then you can pay me half of our food bill. And I said, what's your Cash App? Unless you want to take me to small claims court, like, fine, whatever. And he's like, oh, I'll win. And of course, I'm like, actually, you wouldn't, because I never promised you any type of service that I did not deliver on. We went on a date. I have texts where you're asking me on a date where you're going to take me to dinner and we're deciding where we're going to go. Never in that did we discuss that I would be paying half, but okay. And instead of going through all of that, how about I just Cash App you? So what's your Cash App? So I had to pay this man for half of our bill. I did gladly. Get me out of here. He then started to backpedal and calm down and apologize and say he's really sorry. He just got really defensive because my reaction, my face, he noticed my face when I went to the bathroom. You don't know me, bro. You don't know the faces I make. What if I had to poop? I can't really hide my emotions very well, but I was probably thrown off because the information you were sharing so early on in our date. But I apologize if you felt any certain way. I was not trying to make you feel that way. If anything, I was trying to de-escalate the situation. I don't like the way that you were talking to me. My friend is outside, so I'm going to go. And yeah, you have a really good night. He then proceeded to text me all night, paragraphs, apologizing, and he wants to take me out on a second date. Are you kidding me? I'm done. I don't want to date anybody else. I think I'm good. So, but yeah, men out there, please don't do that. If she disagrees with something, change the subject, put it aside, and put that away up on a shelf, or maybe you can talk about it later. To the girls out there, if your girl texts you, help me, please, just run. She needs you. And it wasn't like I was not safe. I just knew this was going to end real bad. I was going to catch a felony.
In college, I'm pretty sure I went on a date with a serial killer. Let's get into it. And before I get into it, I just want to say there's going to be a lot of points in this story where you are literally going to kind of like palm yourself in the forehead and be like, what were you thinking, Tiffany? I know, I was dumb. I was also 21. We met out at a bar and had a really, really great conversation that night. And so exchanged numbers. We went on a first date and it was awesome. He picked me up in this super nice sports car, which this should have been my red flag because he literally didn't know how to open the door. First date went well, and then we were trying to plan our second date. I was in dead week at school, so it was the week before finals and had to be studying a lot, which slowed down our timeline. While I was studying one night, it was probably 10 p.m., we were chatting about how it was going. He was asking me if, he could bring me any food or anything, and I told him that I could just really go for a walk at 10 p.m. So he gets super excited, and he's like, yeah, let's go on a walk. And where do we go? The gas works. So he says, hey, I need to get gas. I'll be there in like 30 minutes or something like that. So I am getting ready. I tell, obviously, my roommates and my friends to watch my location because that's supposed to save me somehow. And literally an hour and a half goes by. I hear nothing from him. So then he finally texts me that he's there, and I had him pick me up at the apartment next door. In any case, he shows up in a really beat up 4Runner. And I don't care that it was a beat up car. It was just a really big switch from what he was driving on our first date. Immediately upon me getting in the car, he's already explaining away why he has this dirty beat up car. And he's like, oh, I have dogs and I just want them to ride, in this car and not my nice car and like ruin the seats and stuff. And I was like, okay. So we go to Gasworks. He cracks a joke about if this were Dexter, it would be the perfect spot to murder me. He also gets out of the car and goes, don't make fun of me. And I'm like, okay. He's like, well, I was so excited to see you that I'm wearing 2 different shoes. Now my spidey senses are kind of tingling. And as we start to go on this walk, I make it a point to say that my friends have my location. I also kind of lied and said my dad was a cop. And he got really weird. He was like, oh, I didn't know that. And then when I told him about the location thing, he's like, well, how accurate is it? And I was like, it's really accurate. And I showed him. He goes, oh, okay. And we're walking around. If you've been to Gasworks Park, there's one side that's like on the water kind of, and then there's this whole like dark side of the moon moment around the back of Gasworks Hill. We're walking around this hill, right? And so we're in the dark spot, and I'm just kind of like, I don't like this. This feels really weird. We get towards the water finally, and he's also at this point made multiple jokes about murdering me, and I'm like, this isn't funny, especially for the second time we're hanging out. Get back to the front of the hill, and there are some of the fire dancers are out there, and so I'm like, oh, like, let's look at the water. And I'm also plotting how I can say I need to go back home. He tries to kind of make a move to walk around the mountain again. I was like, we have already walked that. I'm good. And he goes, oh, you're very aware of your surroundings. Okay. Now the next part, this might be a moment where you're like, Tiffany, what were you doing? Asks if we can sit on the rocks that are against the water. And if you've been to Gasworks Parks, to get to the rocks, you kind of are away from civilization. Like, you're not really able to be seen if you're sitting on the rocks. I said yes. So we're sitting on these rocks, and I will say I did make sure that I was sitting on the one closest to the railing so that if I needed to run or anything, I could. He makes another joke about killing me. I really, at that point, like, started really feeling easy, right? And I was texting my friends to see if they could come get me. And as I'm looking over at my phone, and I, out of the corner of my eye, see him kind of fiddling with something in his pocket, and it just made my stomach sink. I immediately popped up, right? And I was like, okay, yeah, I'm ready to go home. And he goes, so soon? I'm like, yeah, I need to study, you know, trying to placate him. And he's like, well, I just didn't think you wanted to leave this soon. And I was like, yeah, I do. We walk out to the parking lot, and I'm trying to figure out a way to tell him that I'm not going to get in his car. I had left my purse in his car, so I knew I at least had to open the passenger door. And he is very angry, opens up his driver's side door, turns on his car, and is like looking at me expectantly. I open up the passenger side door, and as I reach in to grab my purse, tell me why the gas gauge was empty. The reason that he was late was because he needed to get gas. So tell me why the gas gauge was empty. You know that scene in Get Out where she says sink and it's like, ooh, that's how I felt. So I literally looked around, like I backed up and I started looking around to see if there was anybody there that could potentially help me. And there was this couple that was sitting in a car next to us. So I turned to them and I knocked on their window and I said, I don't feel safe. Can I wait with you until a ride gets here? They obviously said yes. The guy literally peeled out and sped off after I did that. I never saw or heard from him again. I blocked his number, and then I was terrified for weeks that he was going to show up at my apartment and try to murder me. Bad date story number 2. This one, I don't almost get murdered, so I feel like we're making progress in the 21 era of Tiffany. I met this guy through a mutual friend, and he was in the military back home for like some sort of leave or something. We went on a date to downtown Seattle, and it was really fun. We had some great food. We went to a record store. It was just kind of like one of those very chill, happy sort of dates. Everything was going very well. We decided to parlay that date into dinner later that night. I had to go back to my place to watch a movie and kind of wait out till dinner. On the way to my apartment, he suddenly goes, Tiffany, can you please speed up? And I'm like, okay, is everything okay? And he goes, I feel like I'm gonna be sick. And I'm like, okay, well, I can pull over. And I kind of like make a move to pull over. He's like, no. Like, just get me to your apartment. I'll be fine. And I'm like, okay, this poor guy is about to throw up in the car. Did he drink last night? Is he hungover? Is he sick? Did he have food poisoning? Like, thoughts are going through my head, okay? We get to my apartment, and the poor guy barely makes it to the bathroom before he ends up getting sick. I obviously understand that if he got sick, we're definitely not having plans for the rest of the day. So I offered, to let him sleep in my bed because he was sick. I felt bad. He ends up sleeping well into the evening, and I go in to check on him, and he's awake and saying that he feels so much better, so much more rested. So I kind of assumed it was a little bit of a hangover if he was feeling better so quickly. And he wanted to go back out to dinner. At that point, I had already kind of wound down for the day, but I didn't want to stop hanging out with him because he truly was given like green flags everywhere. Suggested that we just order food in and watch a movie from my apartment. And he was very down with that. That went well. He felt great. Food was settling awesome. And he ended up staying the night. In the middle of the night, I wake up and I hear the shower running. I'm like, that's weird. I turn my body because there is a stench going into my little nostrils. And I'm like, what is that? Turn my body and quite literally shit the bed. everywhere. Listen, I understand things happen, but wake a girl up. He literally did this, got in the shower, and didn't tell me. So what, I just roll into it? Is that what was going through your brain when this happened? I obviously was much nicer than the reaction I'm having now because it's been almost 10 years. So I took the sheets off. I went downstairs. That's where our laundry was. Put the sheets in the washer, changed the sheets out. And by the time I did all of that, I'd come back and he was out of the shower. And I, was like, hey, is everything okay? And he was really embarrassed, of course. So I felt super bad. And I just said, you should have woken me up. I could have, helped, or I don't know. I was just like, next time you just wake me up. And he goes, oh, there won't be a next time. Drift back off to sleep. And what do I find but waking up to a smell and the shower running again. I go through the process of changing my sheets again, and now I'm on my last pair of sheets. I'm a college student. I only had 2 sets of sheets, okay? Down to laundry. Pull out the old sheets, go back up. He's out of the shower. And I'm like, are you feeling okay? Do you want me to take you home? He goes, no, I feel fine. I don't know, just something's going on. And I was like, I totally understand that things happen. Would you mind if I laid a towel down if you're going to stay over here? And he got super upset with me. And I think it just came from embarrassment. But he was like, why would you want to lay a towel down? I'm fine. I'm like, well, it's the second time it's happened, but okay. So we go to sleep a third time. And a third time. I not only wake up to a smell again, I also wake up to him throwing up in the bathroom. So I'm like, okay, you're sick. We need to figure out what's going on. And so I go in to check on him, and he was puking up red. Granted, he had drinking red Gatorade, but at the time I was like, okay, maybe this is blood. So I'm taking you to the ER. Take him to the, I'm so sorry. So I take him to the ER. We go back to the room. We're sitting there, they're doing kind of their intake. And the nurse is talking to him, and the poor guy shits himself again in his jeans. And he gets up and he just waddles to the bathroom, and they have to give him a pair of shorts. And I felt super bad. Looking back, it was kind of funny. I never actually figured out what was wrong, what sickness he had, but it is safe to say that after that little experience, we didn't really talk anymore.
Story time on how I was dating a man that I later found out had a criminal background, was married, and also had a live-in girlfriend. Take a seat. Okay, so if you've been following me for a while, you know that I am single with 2 kids. I do use dating apps, but I really only use Hinge. I feel like there's more potential on that website, and also it's not people just looking for hookups. Okay, so I ended up matching with this guy. We're gonna call him Jay. I ended up matching with Jay on Hinge. We exchanged information and we talked a little bit. I'm not very much of a pen pal kind of girl. I just want to meet you in person, see what the vibes are like, see if we like each other or not, and kind of go from there. So he was actually down for that. He ended up booking a sushi for that same night, and then we decided we were going to meet in a couple of hours. Okay, so when we met up, it was obviously an instant connection. He was very handsome, but even more than that, his communication was good. He was funny and suave. He ordered good food, and his energy was just really engaging. We had a really, really good dinner, and then when we went our separate ways, I was maybe gone for 5 minutes, and he texted me saying that he wanted to see me again. So within that same week, we probably hung out maybe 2 more times. And I actually like being single, so I wasn't expecting anything, but babes, the way things went, I was locked in, right? Locked in. He was attentive. His communication was fantastic. He texted back quickly. He called me all day long. But when I was busy with work, he was like, feel free to just call me back whenever you get a chance. He would joke with me about how I was going to have to fire my roster because he was doing such a good job. He even had noticed a prompt on my Hinge that said, send me flowers because it's Tuesday. He had this huge bouquet of flowers delivered to my house, and the tag said, from the roster, rest in peace. This man was pulling out all the stops. So at this point, ladies, he got me, right? So we are talking every day. We're seeing each other consistently. I'm actually going down to his house, which is about a half an hour from where I live, to go work because he had this beautiful office. You walk in and it was designed to the T. So Ladies, this was my first red flag because no man designs a home like that. It was perfection. And I was like, oh my God, like, who's your interior designer? He's like, I did it. I was like, wow, you're like a businessman, you're in finance, and you're an interior designer. Like, this is super impressive. So, like, all of it was like green lighting to the point of it being a red flag, but I just wanted to maybe enjoy it for once. I had dated so many red flags in my life. I was like, maybe I'm just not used to what a green flag looks like. I took him out to dinner to meet my friends. All my friends liked him. We were vibing, right? So this is where things start to get a little weird and my little alarms start to go off. He traveled a lot for work, and he would always like text me or call me before the plane took off, text me or call me before it landed, and then we would FaceTime when he was in the hotel. He was not a drinker, and so he would not go out with his friends for like after work drinks or whatever. He would come back to the hotel. Well, at first, his communication was super great, right? Communication was super great. Well, then it started to get, when he would go out of town, that his communication would get a little bit more infrequent. And he would make excuses like, oh, I'm going to hang up and eat my dinner. Why can't you just eat dinner on FaceTime, right? And so, but I had no concrete evidence that anything was awry. I talked to my friends about it. I told them that I had kind of like this weird feeling. And they were like, no, Courtney, you just found a nice guy. Like, just enjoy it, right? So I was trying to put off these feelings more and more. So the next red flag happened. So this man liked to take me shopping. He would take me and we'd go walk around the mall. We would go eat whatever. And he would go buy me things that he thought would look good on me, right? So one day out of nowhere, I get a text message from him that asks him if I plan on going to the mall that we go to together a lot that day. And I was like, no, do you want to go? And he was like, oh no, I'm taking my daughter shopping. And I just thought it would be like kind of awkward if we like ran into each other. So he was like, I was just going to take her to a different mall if you were going to be there. Like, yes, we had mutually agreed that like I wasn't going to meet his daughter for a while, but like I just thought that was super weird. So again, I brushed it off. I let it go. Okay, so one night, my friend told me to take a look at this thing on Facebook, which I'm not on very much, but there's this thing called Are We Dating the Same Guy, right? She was like, just look on there. There's all kinds of tea, whatever. So something told me to put his name into that chat, right? So I look up his name, and the very first thing that pops up is this man's picture. And not only is it like serial cheater, like look out for this guy, it was like abuser, criminal background. If you know somebody that's talking to them, have them contact me. So of course I put my name in there. The post was anonymous, and I said, whoever wrote this post, feel free to contact me. I get a message in my DMs, and the message says, I've been looking for you. I'm sorry, what? Okay, go to part 2.
So let me tell you another fun dating story. This is how dating goes in your 40s. So I matched with this guy, and we started chatting. Immediately seemed fun and cool, and he asked for my number. And I kind of suck at the apps. I get overwhelmed, and then I stop responding to people because there's too much to think about, and then the conversation dies because they're annoyed, and that's kind of how it goes, right? Yes, I am to blame a lot of the time. Anyways, he asked for my number, and I'm like, well, let's just give him my number because then I'll at least respond, probably, because it's easier than the apps. So we start texting. And he is a texter. So texting all the time, checking in, sending memes, sending gifts, like just all the time. And it was okay. Like, I like a good text, but this was a lot. And I knew that I probably wouldn't be able to keep up with his pace. So I kind of set the tone of how my pace would go. And he knew I'd respond when I can because I don't have all that extra time to like text at work and stuff. So he asks me out for Friday night. And I was busy Friday night, so we didn't go out. And then he texted me Saturday and asked me for Saturday. And he said he was going to go to the Lantern Festival with his niece and nephew. And I said, oh, I don't want to crash your night with your niece and your nephew. Let's just do it another night. And he said, okay, what about tomorrow? He said, tomorrow I'm all yours. Let's go out tomorrow. And I was like, great, let's go out tomorrow. So he texts me on Sunday. And he says, we still on for tonight? And I said, yeah, I'm at volleyball. Now, it did take a little while to respond, but I said, I'm at volleyball. And when I'm done, yeah, let's do something. Okay, so then he responds and he sends me a picture of his face. And under his eye was all swollen, big swollen right here. And he said, I'm actually Instacare. And I said, well, what's going on? Now, backstory. He had sent me a bunch of pictures of different injuries he's had. And I was like, no, I don't want any more pictures of injuries. Like, I don't want to see him. So when he sent it, I immediately was like, why do I kind of not believe that this is a real picture? I was like, I kind of think you're trying to pull my leg because I didn't want to see any more pictures. And he's like, no, I promise. They think I'm having an allergic reaction to something, but just not sure what. And I was like, oh, they're probably going to give you Benadryl. And he said, yep, actually they did. And I said, you're going to want to sleep all day. And he said, yeah, well, they gave me some Benadryl, so I'm going to go home and take a nap, but we're still good for tonight, right? And I was like, sure, but go home and nap. So that was yesterday, which was Sunday at 2 o'clock. It is now Monday at 7 o'clock, and I haven't heard from this man. So my mind goes two different directions. My first thought is like, crap, is he okay? Like, should I check on him? And then my second thought is like, did I just get played by some man who really had something else going on? And his excuse was that he had to go to Instacare. So I don't reach out to men. Like, that's just not my thing. But should I be reaching out to make sure he's okay? Or am I a fool? And that was just his excuse. But why make an excuse if you're the one that asked me out Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you were so excited and then disappear? Anyways, this is how dating goes. You talk to someone, you get excited, and then they disappear. Or you talk to someone and then they have an allergic reaction and then you never hear from them again. Or you talk to someone and they're really excited and you're not, and then you just don't know what you're going to get. I mean, half the time you're just going to get pictures of things that you didn't ask for. So that's how dating in your 40s goes. I'm not sure how to respond if he does reach back out, because men always come back. Let's be honest, they come back. And so I don't know if I hear him out or what. So if you're thinking about dating in your 40s, I mean, don't do it. I'd advise against it. But should I hear him out if he responds? I mean, not if he responds. Should I hear him out if he comes back from the dead?
Okay, listen up. So I went on a date last weekend. Those like the details behind the scenes don't really matter. Basically, the point is we get on the date. We're getting drinks at like a jingle holiday pop-up bar in the cities. And we get there, it's super cute. We're chatting, like things are honestly going great. He is really easy to talk to, whatever. And had like 2 drinks, had Brussels sprouts, very normal. Nothing like really alarming or like red flaggy like popped up on the date at all. I was honestly kind of into it, and I was like, okay. So we leave the date. We're together for like 3 hours probably. We leave the date and I get home. He texts me this like long message, like this long, basically saying like how great it was to meet me and how nice I am, or how, I don't know, just like really hyping me up. He was like complimenting me. He's like, you seem so kind and genuine. Like, okay, all very nice things, all very nice things. But like we spent 3 hours together, so like let's just relax a little bit, I think. But it's fine. So sorry. Oh my gosh. Anyway, I don't respond for a few minutes because I was literally making pizza when I got home. He starts calling me. I was like, oh, okay. So I answer, and he's like, hey, like, I just wanted to say, like, good night, and I had a really good time with you. And I was like, oh, like, okay, like, yeah, like, me too. Thanks for everything again. Because he, like, paid. Very nice, whatever. Hang up. It's like, okay. A bit much, like a long paragraph, and then you call me, and I'm like, okay. So the next morning, he texts me good morning, and it's a Monday morning, like, it's a work day. Yeah, I went on a date with him on a Sunday night. Crazy of me. And he's like, I couldn't get out of bed this morning because I couldn't stop thinking about you. And I was like, okay, I don't know. I've been love bombed before, and I don't know about that. So I just, like, he had said other things, so I just kind of, like, disregard that message and reply to the other things, whatever. And then the day goes on. For reference, I'm a teacher, working at an elementary school, and I get a call from my office at the end of the day. It's like 3:30. Kids leave at like 3:45. Hi, Morgan, like, you have flowers in the office for you. I said, okay, thank you. Take my kids out to the bus, go into the office, drag one of my coworkers in there with me. They're from him, you guys. They are from him. Just because, and his name. And now, when I tell you, I immediately was like, this is weird. But then, whatever, I'm like, okay, it's nice. Sure, it's nice. Telling myself it's nice. So I text him, I'm like, thank you so much for the flowers. That was really thoughtful, blah, blah, blah. He responds, I have been stressed all day about these. Oh no, first he calls me. He calls me again. I'm at school. I don't answer. Then he texts me, call me when you have a chance. I have been stressed about these flowers all day. I have a feeling they look nothing like what they did online. And then he said, you need to send me a picture of them. Okay, first of all, I don't need to do anything. Let's not get it twisted. I don't need to do anything. Second of all, they're flowers. They're fine. Like, they're great. Like, it's not that big of a deal. It's not that deep. It's not that serious. Why are you stressed? Why are you so stressed? I said, sound the alarms. It was the long text. It was the phone call the night before. It was that I couldn't get out of bed. To sending flowers the day after our first date to my place of employment. Because now I have all these people at school asking to send me flowers. Oh, just my date from last night. Yeah, awesome. So I let him down easy. I sent him a nice text. And then he said, I wish your family the best. And I said, my family? You don't even know my family. Oh.
I keep seeing people post about their worst first dates, so let me tell you about mine. Met this guy on Hinge. Okay, first mistake. Don't fuck with the guys on Hinge. They're so weird. He asked me to go to a baseball game. I don't like watching baseball, but I said yes anyways. So his apartment was right next to the stadium. So we were going to walk there. So he told me to park in his apartment parking garage. And I even asked him, I was like, do I need to pay for this? And he told me no. So I was like, cool. Oh, also, he looked nothing like his pictures. Like, he was such a catfish. I think on his profile he said he was 6 foot. This man was shorter than me. And I'm 5'5". 6 foot where? So we get inside and he has to get ready. Obviously I'm ready, you know, I'm like just sitting there on his couch on my phone, and he's getting ready in the bathroom, and he yells to me to go get a shirt off of his bed and bring it to him in the bathroom. So what do? Grab the shirt and bring it into the bathroom. Guess what this man was doing the second I walked into the bathroom? Steroids up his ass. I'm not even fucking playing. Mind you, this man has a fitness Instagram account where he posts his like fitness journey and is like preaching to all these people like, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that. Bitch, you're not even natural. So try again. He's ready to go to the game. We get to the game. We're there an hour late because he got ready for so long. So we walk in an hour late and there's no fucking game. He literally booked it for next year. And I was like, oh my god. So he's like, do you want to watch a movie at my house? And I was like, sure, whatever. We go back to his house, we put on a movie. He's so awkward. Anyways, we're watching a movie. He puts on some random ass movie that I don't even like, and he gets up, and all of a sudden I hear him behind me just like chowing on a bowl of meat. Like, he's literally sitting at, it's not even a table, I don't even know what it was. Anyways, he was just sitting there eating a bowl of meat, like literally chewing so loud with his mouth open. And if you know me, I fucking hate when people chew with their mouth open. It's disgusting. Also, this is my first time meeting you, so why the fuck are you acting like this? So weird. And then I eventually leave because I'm just like, this is really weird. So I go home. My dumbass hangs out with him like 2 more times after that. So weird. He's so disrespectful. Doesn't ever offer me anything. I'm just like coming to his house and hanging out with him in his small ass, tiny ass apartment. Eventually I'm like, yeah, I can't do this anymore. So I just like, I'm not doing this. I think it was like 2 weeks later, I got a fucking like note in the mail saying that I have to pay like $300 for the parking garage ticket. And I'm just like, this motherfucker. So I literally called up the place and I'm like, I'm not paying for this shit. Like, I'm literally not paying for it. Thank God I didn't have to pay for it because I wasn't going to pay it. I don't care. Anyways, after that, he was telling me that he was in love with me. It was so bad. Like, I couldn't do it. I cannot believe this is actually my life. Like, what the fuck am I doing? But there I was, sitting in this man's fucking living room while he's shooting steroids up his ass. Yeah. This was like 1.5 years ago, though, and if you ever caught me doing that shit now, you wouldn't. I don't think I've ever had a good experience off Hinge, and I feel like that is universal. Like, every single fucking TikTok I watch, they're all meeting these men on Hinge, and they're so appalling. Like, it's actually insane.
So I went on my first date in 14 years, and I want to share with you guys how that went. So I meet this guy on Hinge, and we really hit it off in the chat. Get this, we have 2 kids, and they're both the exact same genders, same ages. We like the same music, we're into the same stuff, so we decide, hey, let's meet. No big deal. So we meet up for drinks, and we have so much chemistry. This guy is so freaking hot. And the date went pretty good. So then he asks to see me again, and I say, sure, that went well, of course. And in the time when we were going to go on our next date, he got 2 tickets to go to a DJ set for the Saturday night. So that would have been the Saturday after our second date. So I was like, well, okay, okay, that sounds fun. So then we get to our second date, and it's like going okay. It's going good, but it wasn't like as the first date, like he was really talking a lot about himself. He was kind of just like looking like, he had other places to be and stuff. And so I just kind of picked up on it was a different vibe. So then we say goodbye, and then he texts me the next day. He's like, hey, I'm excited for Saturday. I was like, yeah, okay. And then a day goes by, and then another day goes by, and he texts me, and he's like, hey, just to let you know, on Saturday, I'm going to be doing some ketamine with my friends. And it's like, to each your own, that's fine. But that's where I'm not going to do that. Okay. Like, I'm not comfortable. That's not going to be for me. So I told him I'm not going to go. And this is the text message he sent me. So I was like, okay, no, I'm not paying you for a show I didn't even want to go to in the first place. So this was my response to him. And yeah, I don't know, you guys, I draw the line at ketamine, okay? So that's how that ended, not well.
My grievance of today is anytime I remember the worst date that I've been on in my entire life. I feel like enough time has passed where I can tell on the internet now, but just get ready. So a little backstory to this. When my ex-boyfriend and first boyfriend broke up with me, I swore off men. It was a bad situation. So freshman year of college, sophomore year, some of my junior year, I was not having it. I just want to be with my friends. I don't want to deal with the bullshit, whatever. Finally, I'm like, if you want to get married, you gotta dip your toes back in the water. So I'm like, okay, I get Bumble. Obviously, that's how all good stories end. I get Bumble. I wound up matching with this guy while I was home for winter break. So I live in Pennsylvania, but I went to school in South Carolina. So I was home in Pennsylvania. I matched with this guy. It's like a couple days before I'm supposed to go back to break. We finally decided that we can meet up the day before I go back to break. So my thought process is, this is perfect because I can like kind of dip my toes in. Like, also, my first boyfriend was in high school, so there was no like first date, like blind date kind of thing. So I was like, this is perfect. Dip my toes in, practice, whatever. So the first date actually went well. Totally fine. We got froyo. Everything was good, dandy. So I was like, okay, he seems cool. I probably won't like see him again because, you know, I'm going back to school like 8 hours away. But, you know, good job, Rachel. Pat yourself on the back. You did it. So, whatever. A couple days later, he texts me and he's like, oh, I had like a really good time talking with you. I'd like to keep getting to know you. Like, no pressure on anything. I know you're going to be at school, but like, let's just keep getting to know each other. Okay, fine. Appreciate it. So we wind up actually talking a lot, texting a lot, FaceTiming. He winds up sending flowers to my house for Valentine's Day, which was really nice. So we were talking for like 2-3 months after I went back to school. And he was very nice. I never felt like he was pushy, no red flags, whatever. So finally he's like, I have a friend who goes to school 2 hours away from you. I'm going to visit him for a couple days for spring break. Maybe I will come down and I will see you if you're okay with it and we could like spend like a day together. I'm like, usually, this is where I went wrong. Usually, I'm like, no, that's never going to happen. Like, I usually am like nervous. I don't like doing this stuff. I'm not a very like social person with people I'm not comfortable with. So I would have said no. However, this day I apparently lost my mind and I said yes. So anyways, the day he gets in, my best friend from college, her boyfriend was also there. So 2 of our guy friends at the time, they were like, they wanted to see her boyfriend again and they wanted to meet the guy that I was talking to. So we're like, fine, we will all meet up for dinner. So they invite 2 guys that are like sort of in our group, not really. They really do not speak. That's like just like necessary to the story, is they do not speak. So whatever. We're kind of mad that they invited them in the first place. Whatever. Last minute, our guy friends drop out. So now it's my friend, her boyfriend, me, this guy, and 2 guys that we're not really close with and do not speak. And we're like, okay, let's go to Broadway at the beach because we can walk around after they have stuff. So we wind up picking Senior Frogs. We went for someone's birthday like a couple months before this, and it was like obviously like not tourist season. So it was like whatever. We like sat outside. It actually wasn't that bad. So we're like, we'll just go back there. Now this time we did not like take into account that this was spring break for people. So it was super busy with like families, a bunch of other people, and also just in general like super busy. So we had sat like right in the back of the restaurant. The lights are like blaring, like it's like straight out of a fever dream. The music is so loud that you cannot hear any of us speaking. So this is already like not going good. There's so many, the restaurant's fucking packed. We're like not talking because you can't hear any of us. Also, these guys who we're not super close with are just sitting at the table like blinking at us, and I'm like, oh my god, like what did I get myself into? He did take that part like a champ, whatever. Also, all of a sudden, straight from a fever dream, they were doing like a conga line. Like I don't know. Okay, so we break off from the rest of the group after we go back to our place. Okay, so at this point I was starting to realize, you know, this was like a really bad idea because I feel like he was acting way different than he was this entire time. I was really not vibing with it. So I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna go shower. I go in the shower. I'm crying. And I'm like, I can't do this. I'm like texting all my friends. I need to leave. It's my house. I'm like, I need to leave, okay? So whatever. I'm like, Rachel, I'm looking at myself in the mirror. I'm like, you can do it. Pull yourself together. Like, get a fucking grip. Okay, so I pull myself together. He goes in the shower. I'm still like fighting back tears. So while he's in the shower, I'm like on my bed on my phone fighting back tears just at this whole situation, because one thing about me is I need my space, and once someone like enters my space in my room, bothers the shit out of me. Not having it. He comes out of the shower. Like I thought he went in, but he came out because he forgot something, and there's like tears in my eyes, and he's just like, he didn't even say anything, and I was like, thank God. So this is for the part that I cannot even believe I'm telling on the internet, and I will never in my life get over this. Okay, so it's time for bed. He gets into bed with me. I did not think this through. Okay, so he starts kissing me, and one thing about him and one thing about me is he was so touchy, so suffocating. Like, was not taking the hint that I really did not want to be doing a lot, was not taking the hint that I needed space, whatever. I'm not a touchy person. I'm just really not a touchy person when it comes to that. So he starts kissing me. Okay, whatever. all of a sudden, he's like, and stops. I'm like, well, what happened? And he's like, I have to tell you something about, like, this sickness that I have. Like, the fuck? Like, what's this guy about to tell me? Like, I don't have the mental capacities to deal with whatever he's about to tell me. He's, like, so dead serious. He's, like, building up to it. I'm like, oh my God. Okay. I'm gonna die. He looks at me and he goes, I have a disease where once I get one kiss, I need 10 more to like survive. I'm sorry. What? So anyways, he starts clockwise on my face, kissing me. And he's going, you're saving me. You're saving me. Like, please just sit with that for a second. Sit with that experience for a second. I will be driving down the road, and to this day, that moment will pop into my mind like a flashback, like PTSD, and I like full body cringe. Because what do you mean? I'm looking up in the moment. I'm looking at the universe, and I'm like, what did I do to deserve this? What karma? I thought I was in for good relationship karma, but apparently not. Okay, so I finally am like, I think I like pretend to fall asleep because he just like wasn't leaving me alone. So the next morning, praise everything, I had work, so I had to leave him for a second. So I go to work and I text him. I'm like, I'm so sorry. I think you're gonna have to leave. Like, I'll come back. I'll say bye. I don't feel good. So I go back after work and I'm like, bye. Say goodbye. He's like, won't leave me alone. I'm like, stop touching me. Stop touching me. Stop touching me. Okay. And when we're like going to leave, he's like, oh my God, I forgot something. I'm like, so he's like, we have to take a picture for my mom. Not for anything. This is the second time we are meeting. Your mom does not need a selfie of me. Show her my Instagram. Show her whatever. So we have to take a selfie for his mom in the middle of the kitchen. When he left, he thought we were like good, tight, everything was fine. Nothing was fine. I literally like saged my room after. I felt like I was going to be in a period of seclusion for the rest of my life to recover from that. So I had to break the news to him when he got home. He did not take it well. And yeah, I am still traumatized by that, and I literally think about it all the time. Like, it just pops up as PTSD, and now every time I go on a first date, like, I'm like, if this happens again. I mean, I've had pretty bad dates. Like, I have other stories that I could definitely, like, that could come close, but this was a bad one. So that was my grievance for today, is the fact that I can't erase my memory from this terrible, terrible time.
All right, here we go. I've never made a video like this before, but I am really curious about if this is just what dating is like. A little bit about me. I am 40 years old. I am a single mom. I'm divorced, and, you know, I'm trying out the apps, and I don't like it. I don't enjoy the dating experience. Maybe I just need to meet somebody organically out in nature or something. If I left my apartment, I would maybe meet people, but right now I'm using the apps. I have Hinge and I have Facebook Dating and Bumble, and this guy I met on Facebook Dating. Now, in all of my profiles, it does say that I do not drink. I'm boring. I'm over 4 years sober, which is just for the good of all of society that I do not drink. But most of the time that I've been dating after my divorce, I was a drinker, and maybe that has something to do with how different I'm feeling today dating sober. But anyway, so I have it on my profile that I don't drink, and I'm talking to this guy. Sorry, that's my kitten down there. She's freaking out. Hi. So I have it on my profile that I don't drink. This guy keeps saying, let's meet for drinks. Let's meet for drinks. I was like, sure. Hey, just pick wherever, because it doesn't really matter. Like, I could get a soda. I could get a water. He picks a nice bar that is in between where both of us live. And I was like, cool. Do you happen to know if they have non-alcoholic drinks? And he's like, oh, let me check. He finds out that they do, so we meet there tonight. We order drinks. He orders a whiskey sour. I ordered some mocktail. It was really delicious. And as we sit down, he goes, I totally forgot that you didn't drink. I'm like, okay, anyway. So not a great start, but he goes, so like, what's that about? I was like, oh, you know, I'm sober. I don't drink. It's not really something that I talk a whole lot about, which is not true. I talk about it all the time, just not on first dates. But I was like, yeah, I'm sober. I just don't have any interest in drinking. And he's like, kind of like judgy. So I got my guard up a little bit, I will admit. But so I start asking him questions about himself. I ask him like, hey, like, so I know you're not from this area, because I actually read his profile, and I just am asking him stuff like, well, what do you do for work? What do you like to do on the weekend? Like, you know, and he's like telling me these things, just kind of like blanket answers. I guess it's just like boring first date conversation. Let me get to know about you. So I was like, so what brought you to the area? Because I know he moved here from the Bay Area, and he tells me he was in this really long relationship, and you know, they were together for 3 years, but really 4, but the last year they were just trying to work things out. He's kind of like trauma dumping all this information on me. And I'm just listening, just, okay. I usually don't like to talk about my old relationships on first dates, but it's fine. So he's telling me all about it. He's telling me a lot about himself, and every question that I ask him, he asks me the same thing back. And I was like, that's cool. And he asked him something about like, what do you like to do? And he's like, oh, I really like to watch movies. He asked me, do I like to watch movies? And I said, you know, I'm not a huge movie person. I'm more of like a reader. I like to read books in my free time. And he's like, and I said, so do you like to read? And he goes, no, I don't. I was like, oh, that's a bummer. And he goes, well, I mean, how conversations work is like, you ask me a question and then I ask you the same questions back. So like, that's how a conversation works. So like, I might not have the same answer that you do. I'm like, you're explaining to me how conversations work? Like, I just asked, like, do you like to read? Because I like to read. It was very uncomfortable. And like, he kind of treated me like I was stupid. So anyway, I'm the one who reads and I'm stupid. But anyway, he's telling me about his favorite directors, and his favorite TV show is Entourage, and all these things that I am not very interested in. I ask him like, oh, have you been to any fun concerts recently? I'm just trying to get to know the guy. And it's like, I ask him things that he's never thought about in his life, and then he'll go on a tangent about something else. Anyway, I was really bored with the conversation, and I really didn't like how he was responding to me, and the whole thing about like, this is how a conversation works. So he got up to use the bathroom, and I immediately text my best friend like, this guy's the worst. I don't like him. We end up there for a while, and I'm trying to not look at my phone and watch and like find out what time it is so I can get the hell out of there. He just was kind of boring and a lot about himself, and I don't know. It was weird. I felt no vibes with this guy. Oh, and then he starts trying to like touch my knee and touch my leg. And he goes, what are your 5 love languages? Which like, I don't really buy into that kind of thing. But for me, and I'm not weird. So like, I responded to the question. I was like, you know, for me, it really depends on the person that I'm with. If I really like you, of course, then I'm going to have a different reaction. Like if I don't like you, I don't want you giving me words of affirmation or physical touch. And he goes, I like physical touch. And I really like giving physical touch. And as he's doing that, he's like trying to touch my knee, and I'm kind of trying to move away. Of course, there's my cats. So, it was just weird. I'm like, you know, if I like you, that's okay, but I don't like you. So anyway, he's asking me about like, what's your luck been like on the apps, and have you really met anybody that you like, and all these things. And I'm like, I'm not going to talk to you about other guys. I kind of at this point was like, I don't really, oh my God, my cats. At this point, I don't really like him, and I don't really consider myself going on another date with him. So I'm just like, yeah, you know, sometimes first dates, you want to meet them like quickly so you can see if you have chemistry in person. And sometimes you don't, and that's okay. Like you could talk to them or be friends, which I granted don't want to be friends with this guy, but I'm kind of trying to just get out of the situation. So we end up staying there for way too long. He walks me to my car, and I'm like, yeah, it was nice to meet you. And I'm just trying to not like give him any indication that I really want to see him again. So I'm kind of just being like, nice to meet you. Okay, have a nice drive home. And he's like, I had a great time. And he goes to hug me, and I go to hug him back, and then he like doesn't let go, which I'm like uncomfortable. So I can tell he's like not trying to let go, and I kind of pushed back a little bit, and he goes, I was trying to kiss you. And I go, oh yeah, no, I don't kiss on the first date. And I think I left it kind of awkwardly, which it's not true that I don't, it's just that I didn't like that guy. So anyway, I drove home. He texted me. He had such a great time, and like, he can't wait to see me again, and And I'm like, is this what dating is like? I don't like it. I don't want to, the last time that I like really dated somebody was a couple years ago, and I was drinking, and like at that point it's kind of like you just drink until you like the guy, and I was just like out there raw dogging it and just sober and like having to deal with this man with nothing to help me out there, which sounds bad, but that's why I don't drink anymore. And you know, my ex-husband, I really liked him, and I didn't have to drink to make myself like him. Am I gonna like somebody again without like, I don't know. I'm supposed to go on another date tomorrow night, a second date with somebody who I actually did have a very good conversation with, but kind of didn't feel that chemistry, but I'm gonna give him another chance. Is it me? I don't know. Is it just being sober? Is it just a different experience? I don't know. I'm kind of thinking about like documenting this and just seeing if this is normal, if this is just like a string of bad luck, because I keep meeting guys that are a lot older than me that are like maybe 45 and are like, I don't really know if I want to have kids yet. And I'm like, that ship has sailed for me, so I don't know if we should even continue to talk to each other, because I'm almost 40 and I'm not going to have any more kids. I already have one, and if you're 45 and don't know if you want children yet, maybe you should figure that out. I don't know how to help you. I'm not a life coach. Or maybe I'm just going to get on here and start blabbing about the different things that I did when I was not sober, because those are kind of interesting stories. And this was mostly me rambling because I've never made a story like this before. Or, I don't know. I guess I'm just processing, and like the diary factory exploded, and here I am just getting it out. So yeah, let me know. Is this just what dating is like? All right, so I am going to update after that first date yesterday. I saw that a bunch of people that I actually know in real life watched my video, which if I do know you in real life and you watch that video, we don't need to ever talk about that. It makes me feel a little awkward, but I guess that's what I get for posting things on the internet and talking. So anyway, hi, this is my cat. Her name is Weird Al. Anyway, so I went on a second date. I don't know if I'd really consider it a second date, with a guy that I went for coffee with a few weeks ago. We decided to go to trivia at a place near me, which was fun. We did okay, not as well as I would like to. I'm kind of competitive and things like that. But it was fun. It probably would have been more fun if we had invited some friends or something like that, but we don't know each other that well to invite other people into this. But yeah, we did get to talking because I ordered a non-alcoholic seltzer and he only had water, and I remember him mentioning something about how he doesn't drink either, and I said, like, this is an uncomfortable question because sometimes when you talk about why you don't drink, people automatically assume that you had a problem, in which I did. I did have a problem, but I do understand that other people just don't drink. I don't understand that, but hey, there you go. So he said, oh, I just don't really like it. Just didn't really do anything for me. Again, don't understand that because it did a lot for me. But we kind of talked about that, and he told me about how his ex-girlfriend tried to 12-step him, and he said some things about like recovery that I didn't really like. But everybody's got their own opinions. Being in recovery is something that works for me. It doesn't necessarily work for everybody, so I kind of get it. I did comment on how AA is a cult, which, you know, that's a joke that I like to make. And I said, it's a great cult though. And hey, if you want to be 12-step, I could do that right now. Just joking around. But I like to joke about sobriety. Not like, I don't like to joke with my sobriety, but I like to make jokes about it. So I was like, you know, because he asked me like why I don't drink and if I had a problem, and I said, like, have you ever drank so much that you have to sit around in a circle and talk about it for the rest of your life? Because like that's where I was at. Again, joking, not joking, but like joking. And I went along with my normal, like my bits of, yeah, I used to drink, but I went pro too early and I had a career-ending injury, or, you know, it's just a public service that I don't drink. Like, the state of California prefers it that way, things like that. And he did find that funny, which was good. And we talked about going to trivia next week and doing it again because he had fun, I had fun. Yeah, but I think right now I'm just thinking about maybe just telling stories about like what it was like dating when I was not sober, because those are a little bit messy and entertaining, and maybe it'll help me like process them, because dating sober is uncomfortable. And somebody did comment and said like maybe I needed to find a better way to tell somebody that I was sober, like a nicer way, saying that I'm doing it for health reasons. While that's true, like I do not drink for health reasons, because I was killing myself. I don't find any benefit to sugarcoating it. Like, I had a problem and I don't drink anymore. I'm sober. It's not just that I don't drink, like I'm sober. I feel like there's a difference. I'm in recovery. It's a very important part of my life. So if somebody is going to become a part of my life, they need to be aware of that. I don't, you know, why not get it over with in the very beginning and just tell somebody like I'm sober and it's serious, instead of, you know, telling somebody it's for health reasons, and then they might be like, oh, well, it's okay to cheat on a diet or something like that. That's not what my sobriety is about. Like, if I cheat on my sobriety, there will be consequences for not just me, but others around me, if you know what I mean. Because I like to involve others in my consequences. It usually doesn't just affect me, it affects everybody around me when I drink. That's what that's like. Yeah, but it was better. I feel better about it. I didn't feel super uncomfortable. I don't know that there's anything more than friendship with us, which is fine. I think it's nice to have friends. So back into the trenches, I guess. And if you know me in real life, no, you don't. And yeah, we don't need to talk about it. Like I said, we can just, you know, I'm kind of an open book. I usually, with people in my life that I see regularly, I will tell them anything and everything, and I don't really have a filter or the ability to not say what I'm thinking. So this is all stuff that I would probably tell you anyway if you ever asked. I kind of have the inability to shut up, which is why this video keeps going on. But I just really appreciate the messages that I got yesterday from people, encouraging me to continue to just try things out and be uncomfortable and to be honest. And everybody was pretty nice. I got a few weird comments and a couple direct messages, and that was new and different from this app, where I usually just send my best friend repeated TikToks all day, and I really only send them to her. Yeah, but I guess we're just trying something new, and that's it. So, good night.
Guys, I have a story time. So on Friday, I was hanging out with my girls, minding my own business, and I came across this fine, tall, chocolate man. We flirted with each other for about 1 minute with our eyes, and then finally he came over and wanted to talk to me. He gave me a hug, but then when he gave me a hug, he literally picked me up off the ground. And if you know me, you know I loved being picked up by a tall man. I'm like, oh my God, you're so strong. You're so in shape. What do you do? Do you play ball? And he's laughing like, yeah, I used to play football. Like, oh my God, are you a football player? Is it because you're off season that you're here? Where do you live? And I'm a little tipsy, so I'm asking him these questions because a lot of the football players are in Dallas in the off season training. So he's just laughing, and then I'm like, wait, how old are you? And an indicator that he was young should have been when he asked me, how old do I look? Because only young niggas ask that question. I'm like, I don't know how old you look, but because you're in the NFL, you probably are 24. And so he looked at me and started laughing and was like, I'm like, oh my God, not another 24-year-old. So he's like, how old are you? And I told him, I'll be 38 in June. He was like, damn, you look good. Keep in mind, I'm just over it at this point because I'm so sick of meeting guys that look so fine and that are younger than my baby sister. So then we exchange information anyway. Even though I thought he was 24, I was just like, F it, you know, YOLO. So we have been talking all weekend, calling each other baby, love, boo, like babe, all of this stuff because, you know, I'm a Gemini Cancer and I fall in love in 2 seconds. So today I'm talking to him and he's like, you know, asking me what am I doing today? And I'm like, let's hang out because I'm off today before my week gets busy. Like I'll be working for the rest of the weekend. And I was like, we can go to a bar, we can go to happy hour, we can do something. And he's like, I have something to tell you. And I'm just like, what do you have, a kid or something? And he was like, through the grace of God, no. I'm like, okay, then what could it be? He's like, it's bad. And I'm like, what? And he's like, I lied to you about something. And I was like, what did you lie? How old are you? Did you lie to me about your age? And the phone got really quiet. And he says, yes. So I asked him, how old are you? And he said, I'm going to just be honest. When you said I was 24 or I looked 24, I just went along with it. And I was like, okay, so are you younger than that? He's like, yes. And I was like, oh my God, don't tell me you're 21. And he says, I'm younger. Baby, how old are you? He says, I'm 20. 20. So I said, wow, I am actually old enough to be your mom. Like I could have legitimately had you at 18 years old and been your mother. And he's like, I'm so sorry. I swear that's the only thing that I lied to you about. But when you said I was 24, I just went along with it. And you looked so good. I had to go along with it because like, I'm sorry. So now I'm like, great. Like, I'm just so sick of this. Every woman wants to look young for her age, but then when you get older and you try to date someone and you meet people that are significantly younger than you because they think that you're their age, this is the part of looking young and being old that is not fun. Great, we can't even like go to a bar. You're not even legal. And he's like, I can. Sometimes they ID me, sometimes they don't. And if they do ID me, I just leave. I haven't thought about leaving or being somewhere that was 21 and under in almost 20 years. I don't even know what year a 21-year-old was born in. 2005. In 2005, I was in 11th grade. And then he's like, so is this the last time that we're gonna talk? And I'm like, I don't know. I hate it because you are so cute, but you are so young. And then I'm like, what do 20-year-olds do for fun? And he starts laughing as if I'm joking. And he's like, well, I like going to the movies. Do you want to do that? And I just said, like, what movie, bro? He's like, a scary one. So I might have a movie date with a 20-year-old. And honestly, I don't know if I should be locked up or not. Because at this point, I feel like Dre and Michelle.
I'm going to tell you why you should always Google a man before going on a first date with him. I'm going to try and tell this story as quick as I can. Hopefully I won't have to do a part 2, part 3. I can just get it all out in these 10 minutes. But I matched with this guy on Facebook Dating. Okay? Very handsome, very cute, to the point where I was like, this could be a catfish. So we start chatting, really liking the banter. He's initiating the conversation. I'm having a good time. He pretty soon gives me his phone number and we start texting. He sends me a selfie confirming his identity. And I'm like, okay, like, I really like this guy. Okay, not really like this guy, but you know what I mean. He tells me right off the bat that he's here in Kansas City for work. He does not live here, but he's going to be here for the next few weeks for work. And he's staying in this big Airbnb with a bunch of guys that he works with. And he would love for me and a friend to come out Friday night to play games, do a bonfire, whatever. And I'm like, okay, that sounds kind of fun. We will see. So I text my friend and I'm like, hey, here's the situation. Should we go? She's like, you know, keep talking to him, see what the vibes are, and possibly. So me being the FBI agent that I am, I Google this man immediately. The very first thing that pops up is a record of his arrest from 2 years ago. He was arrested for, I should have looked up the exact charges before I started this video, but basically for robbing a pawn shop. Allegedly. Okay, I'm just saying that. So he did not serve any time, but he is still currently on probation for robbing this pawn shop. Upon further research, I saw that he owed a lot of money to multiple people from this robbery. And I'm like, damn. And I'm positive it's him because his mugshot was on this website. This is literally just from Googling his first and last name and the town he was from. That's it. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to confront him about this, but like, how do I bring it up? So I say, you know, it could be pretty dangerous going to an Airbnb with a bunch of guys we don't know. Do we need to do background checks on y'all? He was like, LOL, no, you're safe. You're in good hands, whatever. So he didn't bring it up in that. So we keep texting and I just straight up asked him, I said, so I Googled your name and it said you went to jail. What'd you go to jail for? He's like, yeah, long story short, we can talk about it more in person. I'd love to call you after work and tell you, but I got caught up in the wrong crowd. I was friends with the wrong guy. He was on drugs. I was in the car with him when he robbed this pawn shop. He's still in jail. I'm still on probation for the incident. I paid a lot of his fees for him, but I basically was just involved with the wrong person. I'm like, okay, I have no reason not to believe him at this point. So, you know, that sounds like a pretty viable story. Upon further research, that was true. He was in, I found more documents. I literally spent hours researching this situation. It was true. He was in the car. The man he was with is still in jail. And whatever, I just left it at that. So Friday night comes around. I do decide I'm going to go to this Airbnb with my friend and meet him. We talked on the phone multiple times. We FaceTimed. If you were keeping up with this in real time, I was posting right after I had a FaceTime with him. I was like, I just got done FaceTiming the love of my life. I really liked talking to him. He was so cute and I was very excited to hang out with him. So we get to the Airbnb. The Airbnb is so cute. It's in like this small town in Kansas and it was so like farmhousey and just good bones in that house. I don't know why I was so obsessed with it, but I was. I took pictures of the doors because there was like hand paintings on the doors. I wanted to go antiquing in this house. There were so many like beautiful antiques and like shelf decor. Anyway, I digress. It was so cute. He's cooking dinner. We're vibing. My first impressions, very cute. He opened the door for me immediately when we pulled up in the driveway. Very handsome man. So we play a little pool, we eat dinner, then me and him go outside and we're sitting on the back porch. There's like a wraparound porch on this house. This house is just everything. And we get to talking. When I say we get to talking, I mean he gets to talking. Okay? He talked my ear off. A lot of things were said during this talk. I was very overwhelmed. So I want you to have grace for me when I'm telling you this story and you're thinking to yourself, why didn't you just leave then and there? Or like, just hear me out, okay? I'm going to tell you the stories that he told me without the context of we were sitting there talking and yeah, like these stories came up in certain ways, but I'm just going to list off the alleged things that happened to this man. The first one, his ex-fiance almost killed him and did kill his dog. Oh gosh. I'm going to bleep those words out. Okay. I don't want this video to get banned. He was a rodeo guy and he was on the road. When he got home, he found out his fiance had been cheating on him with his best friend. When he confronted his fiance, she took a fire prodder stick and him half to death with the stick and his dog with it. And his parents came to his house 2 days later and found him sitting in a puddle of... I'm like, wow, that is quite the story. His parents, this is the next story, okay? His parents are billionaires, but he was raised by his grandparents because his parents were more these are his words. His parents were more the country club type. His grandparents lived on a farm or a ranch, and he wanted that lifestyle, not the lifestyle of his parents. So his grandparents raised him. But his parents are billionaires. Next. Okay, hold on. So the company that he currently works for, that he was in Kansas City for, is a fine company, okay? This Airbnb is huge and there are, I don't even know how many men staying in that house. We didn't see most of them, but we were in the basement most of the time because it was kind of like the hangout area. And we're sitting on the couch, listening to music, vibing, and he's like, this is so-and-so's bed that we're sitting on right now, which was one of the younger guys, like newer, whatever guys. And I was confused because there was like 5 beds in the corner of the basement that my date, like one of his beds was one of those beds. And I was like, why can't he sleep on one of the beds next to you? He was like, because he has to earn it. Like I'm his boss. And I told him like, once he gets this many sales, blah, blah. And I was like, this kid was like 19. I was like, let that little boy have a bed. Let him sleep in one of those beds tonight. I'm being serious. He was like, well, you get a better bedroom based on how you're ranked in the company. Previously, he had told me that one of his friends that he, like one of his work buddies, one of his coworkers that he'd been riding around with was broke. And he had to pay his gas the whole time that they've been in Kansas City. He's broke, blah, blah, blah. Well, the brokey he's talking about has his own bedroom upstairs. Own bed and bath. While my date's sleeping in the basement next to the 19-year-old. So I was like, how come you're sleeping down, if you're like so high up in the company and you're everybody's boss, why are you sleeping down here in the basement next to the 19-year-old, but the guy who's broke has his own bedroom? He's like, well, that was just my choice. I let him have the bedroom because I'm not going to be here as long as the other guys, so I was just letting them have the bedroom, and I took the bed in the basement. I was like, okay. Right. He also told me that like, yeah, he technically works for this company, but he actually owns his own business and does work. Oh my gosh, guys, I'm actually gonna run out of time and I'm gonna have to do a part 2. He does his own business for his own company through this company that he technically works for. It doesn't even make sense when I try to explain it because it's not real.
You know, as a bi woman dating a man, some days you wake up and you just gotta remind people who you are through an outfit. Like, I love my boyfriend, but be who you are.
Okay, this is part 2 of the time I went on a date with a pathological liar. So he has told me all these lies. Nothing's making sense. I did not hook up with this man that night. We kissed. That was it. Okay? That's important for later on. So I leave that night with a lot of questions. He told me that his fiance who had beat him, sorry, I keep saying words that I feel like are going to get me flagged. His fiance that was in prison for attempted and for animal cruelty or something since she allegedly his dog. I was like, that's wild. So when I got home, I was texting him. I'm like, hey, what is your ex's name that's in prison? Because with one tiny little Google search of this guy's name, I found out that he was in jail for robbing a pawn shop. So I'm like, if I Google her name, sure, and I know the town that it allegedly happened in. So if I Google her name in the town, it's gonna show up. If I Google man gets rushed to the hospital from being beat by his fiance, you know, like, it doesn't take that much of extensive research. Anyway, research. So I search her name. I search every single detail you could possibly think of to find evidence of this case. It doesn't exist, which isn't shocking considering the fact that he said he was laying there for 2 days and his parents found him 2 days later. That wouldn't happen. You would not have survived that. In the small chance that is what happened, I'm not finding any evidence. So I told him that. I was like, I'm researching everything and I'm like not finding anything about that, which I find very crazy because it would be public record if that had happened. And he starts getting mad at me. He gets mad and boo-hoo. Why don't you just believe me? I hate when people get like this. Obviously, you have trust issues. I can't explain why you can't find it. I don't know why she's not coming up when you're Googling it. This long of messages. So mad at me. So sad. No one ever believes me. No one ever trusts me. This is why I've been single for 2 years because I just like can't trust anyone because no one believes me, blah, blah. And I'm literally just like, well, yeah. And also like, I know what's happening here. You're not guilt tripping me. I don't feel bad because you're just lying out of your ass for actually no reason. Like, I don't understand why you're making up those lies. He also said that I said, it just isn't realistic that you were sitting there for 2 days and you survived that. He was like, yeah, I did exaggerate a little. My parents came over to help me fix a light fixture and I hadn't gone to the hospital, but she had broken my arm. I wish I was, now I sound like the liar. She had broken my arm with the stick and I had an open wound and I refused to go to the hospital because I'm a tough rodeo guy. And my parents came over and there was blood everywhere. I'm like, you're really not like, I said, I really think you're lying. He's like, I'm going to be honest, Maddie, I do have a history of lying. He said that to me. I do have a history of lying and it's something that I've been really working hard on for the past 2 years, but I'm not lying about this. Okay. So then I start questioning about the comment about his parents being billionaires. He's like, you can look up my parents. Here's their name. Here's their house. It is true. They appear to have a lot of money. I did confirm his parents' names, the house they live in, and they do have a lot of money. Are they multi-billionaires? No. Are they well off, it appears? Mm-hmm. He also was telling me like, oh, I was going to retire at the beginning of this year, but like I decided not to. Just, you know what I mean? Just like making stuff up. So the next morning, I ended the conversation with him not good, being like, you're a liar, you're scaring me. The next morning, I'm still in contact with one of the guys that was also at the Airbnb. He tells me that this man was telling the whole house that we fucked last night. We didn't. My clothes were on the entire time. The entire time. My cats. He's here. So I texted him and I'm like, bro, here you go again. I actually didn't even confront him. I said, hey, it was nice meeting you. Wish you the best of luck. I'm no longer interested in talking to you. And he was like, why? I said, you literally lie. And you're telling everybody that we fucked last night and we didn't. And that's the smallest lie of them all. But it's weird and annoying and scary, and I'm not interested in talking to you. He's like, yeah, you know what? Like, I was going to say the same thing. You obviously have very intense trust issues, and that's not something I want to put up with. So, like, it is best that we go our separate ways. Like, it was his idea, but I let him have it. He left that day to go work in a different state when he was supposed to be there for the next couple of weeks, so I was confused. Word on the street is he was calling his boss, begging him, after I was like hounding him about his lies, begging him to let him leave the state of Kansas and go work in a different state. And his boss was like, okay, you can go here, wherever it was. So he literally catches a flight and flies away because he is so scared, I don't know. He was literally so upset and making me out to be the bad guy because I was hounding him and cornering him about his lies. But they're not lies, by the way. Fled the state because of that. Literally wearing his work shirt, and he's like, I have my own company, I only wear these because it's less confusing. Like, this is what I mean when I tried to explain, like, I tried to say it's very hard to explain the situation because the lies are so weird and out of left field that it doesn't even make sense. And it sounds like I'm lying because it's so weird. Also, when we were sitting on the porch and he talked about himself for 45 minutes, he ended it by saying, so do you have any questions? Do you have any questions for me? No, I've learned everything about you that I could possibly know. That all is a lie. And I think what it all boils down to is a mental illness. That's the only thing I can think of as to why this man was lying about the things he was lying about and why he was lying so much. Because none of his lies were like, well, I could see why you would lie about that. Like, you know, this is embarrassing. Or like, oh yeah, that is kind of hard to whatever. Nothing. All of his lies are just like a 5-year-old being like, Mom, a unicorn came to our school today. Just bizarre lies that you're like, oh, that's sweet, honey. But you know it's not true. Those kind of lies. So God bless that man. I hope he gets help. And I said that to him. Those were my last words. I hope you get help. And I genuinely mean that. I hope you go to a psychiatrist that can possibly give you a lobotomy. If not, can dive deep into your brain and figure out why you lie like that. I'm sure I'm missing some things. I tried to explain this the best I could. I hope it made sense. This was insane. And this is why you always Google your date. First name, last name, and where they're from. And you'll find out a lot.
I met a guy at a party about 5 years ago, okay? And now we share a closet. And my mom warned me, and she warned me and said, don't talk to strangers. And now I sleep next to this man, and I just trust that he's not gonna kill me.
Okay, I can't believe I forgot this detail in my pathological liar story. So I've brought some receipts. These are screenshots from Facebook. When I looked him up on Facebook, I came across a very interesting status from a woman 2 years ago. He had a rough year a couple years ago. All of these stories happened 2 years ago. So this lady posted, if anyone knows blank and blank in blank. Please have them contact me here. If blank scammed anyone else out of money, tell his parents. I'm sure they don't know he's done this. Their son blank scammed me out of almost $800 when he lived at blank. Blank lied about being a Marine. He's never been in the military. Lied about being a mechanic injured on the job, which is why he didn't work, and lied about being a Texas Ranger. Law encounter, not baseball. Blank also claims that he was not raised by his parents at all, but by his grandfather who owned a 1,800-acre ranch in Texas that blank allegedly inherited, yet he is in blank instead of in blank on the ranch. Sound familiar? Blank was apparently just spoiled and never had to work for anything. He thought you were giving him the money and that he didn't have to pay it back. Sorry, I was checking to make sure I was still recording. Then he realized I was serious, that he had to pay me back. His parents removed him from the condo in early March, and he refuses to respond to my texts about the money he owes me. As far as I know, he still lives with his parents in blank. I would like to get my money back, even though I moved away from the condos. When I was reading that, my jaw was actually on the floor because those stories align so much with the things he was telling me. Hello, sir. Then one of her comments says this: I was too trusting and should have known he was too scrawny to be a Marine. I had the blank check him out when he kept asking for my credit card to buy parts for his truck or tools to work on his truck. They had a Marine call him who determined he was lying and told me to watch myself, that he gave them the impression that they thought he was mentally ill. Yes. Yes, ma'am, can confirm. Get this man off of the streets. What? I want to call... Sorry, I'm getting wrapped up. I would love to have a conversation with his parents. Do they know he is just out here running amok? I don't think he should be. I think that he should be hospitalized.